What's up, ladies and gents, and welcome back to Forza Horizon 4, where we are back with another seasonal event, the buggy one this time, the off-road one, with a 700 rating off-road buggy restriction. And
spring, the season of new life and new beginnings. Oh, and
yes,
new championships, of course.
Also yes. And I thought we're just going to use the car that you can win. Would maybe be an interesting showcase of what we are going to drive for here. I rarely get the chance to do this, but in this case we can actually show the car we are going to try to obtain. Well, I already own it, so it doesn't really matter for me, but for you it might. And I mean, the buggies were all fine, just tuning to a 700 rating. They do differ a little bit, but you just have to figure out the strength of each one of them. This one at least has the speed, although you must drive rather carefully with it. The Maverick one, you don't really need to drive careful with that. With the all-wheel drive, it is so stable, and at a 700 rating it's slow enough that you won't ever lose confidence in it. But this one as well, with the 700 rating, this one is better in my opinion, because control isn't that important yet. The cars are slow enough that control isn't such a big factor. And we were actually lucky that we were right behind them, so they broke through the wall. And then we could just follow the gap in the wall, so put them behind. You can see the guys in, I think, first and second, they are actually falling behind now, because they didn't manage to carry their speed up there, because they had to break through the stone wall, so that is actually a factor. Obviously Buggy's not particularly great at carrying any sort of speed, so you're not just going to breeze past your opponents, you need to actually do something for it. And I'm not a big fan of buggies. I don't know, it's at least among my least favorite types of cars in this game, or types of vehicles. If not my least favorite. Now they actually have the advantage that I am in first, so they can just follow me through the crack in the stone wall now. My thinking is that I'm driving a little offline here, so that they maybe break through it as well. Yeah, they do. Or I think they did. We're losing a lot of speed anyway. Look at this, we're getting a lot closer here. Luckily the end of this section is easy enough. And they tend to lose a lot of time around here. So winning race number 1 shouldn't be an issue. Go. Even as we have to break through all of this stuff. Actually, they are not too far behind, so this is far from over. On the bright side, we are rather comfortably leading. There is no fighting going on or anything. And like I already mentioned, I'm not a big fan of the buggies, so having to fight and run is just horrible. I'm always glad when I don't have to drive, and the buggies were the reason why I didn't finish the cross-country series for quite a while, because I just didn't like the races where I had to drive buggies. And then I didn't care. Just go for the line. We probably lose quite a bit of speed either way. Yeah, down to 80. 82, 83. Yeah, it's right around the speed. This is a lot more fun with actual powerful cars. Or powerful buggies even that don't lose a tremendous amount of speed going up the hill. This section once again rather easy. It's just a straight line through, and that's 20 points in the bag. Yeah, the ratings are very close. We're all within 8, so ratings won't really matter here. Alright, let's jump to race number 2. This one is, I don't want to say difficult, but if you don't get the start properly done, you have very little chance of catching them towards the end, because the end doesn't have very many technical sections where you can make up any ground. It's more or less just full throttle corners or just very limited braking or technical sections. So it's really all about making sure, as we get blocked here, that you get as many positions as you can at the start. And this blocking that we just encountered is a huge issue already, because we should be 1 or 2 spots further ahead than we are. This is also where an all-wheel drive buggy can be useful, but you will suffer a lot towards the end of the race, so yeah, kind of a coin flip really. And now we have the speed and we are catching up, and we are overshooting this a bit, but I think it'll be worth it just to get in the hunt for this position. And that puts us into second. Second isn't bad. Remember, we are driving a championship, but now we can just relatively freely go for a first. The right side actually pays off here if you don't want to go for the jump. It's actually not a bad idea, because the jump obviously costs you a lot of speed, and they're now probably overtaking us. Now we have blocked it off correctly. But avoiding the jump isn't a bad idea. And now they're having the problem of having to drive through the stone walls, and we're cutting this a little bit. We're right behind. We will now go next to him because we are already 3/4 done. Now we have the stone wall issue. And with limited power like this is an actual issue with the stone walls. Like, don't underestimate it, it costs you a lot of time. Can we push him off? No. You can see how they're all just driving past us because we have been limited by, well, A, a duel, and B, the stone walls. And now we are kind of in a race for the finish line here, trying to not drive through too many walls. As you could see, we have avoided the middle lane restrictions. And now you can see it would drive through the stone wall and you'd lose a ton of time. But there's also no real way to avoid that. I'm not just trying to block everyone from overtaking us. There's no real way to avoid that. I mean, if you want to be first, and when you are first, you're going to have to break through them. But as far as balancing goes, this is really poor. In my opinion. So, I don't know. Balance isn't on your side in this scenario. The good thing is we have 40 points back now, so... should be able... I think a third place should be able to secure it for us. And there isn't so much wall breaking or busting in this race. Which obviously also makes it harder to catch up. I mean, it makes it easier to catch up at first, but then it makes it harder to stay in the lead once you are there. So it has its pros and cons. But we should be able to catch up quite a bit by ourselves. I'm a big fan of taking the outside lines here to carry a lot more speed. They're taking the inside, and you can do that, but I am a big fan of taking the outside, between there, and then just get a much better line into here. I was avoiding that he could take the middle, so he had to take that jump. And it puts them behind. Don't take the jumps there. Not a great idea. There we have kind of busting through the restrictions, but that's not too big of a deal. Unless you are in a direct fight and it's towards the end of the race, then that can cost you, but like I said before, with buggies on this low of a rating, 700 is pretty poor. And buggies don't have much weight, so driving through something costs you a lot. Be careful that you don't underestimate the cornering here and the dangers of drifting through these corners, because that can go very wrong very quickly. And now we have a lead through 2 laps, and there is the last lap starting. I feel like in this race, it's the start of the lap is more or less on your side. Unless you completely mess it up, and it's just towards the end where they are possibly catching up a little bit. But and this corner, like this is the key corner. If you get this one right, then you are more or less fine. It's also the corner where you can just drift out and spin or whatever. Yeah, this looks like a very clear win for us. Let's brake a little bit. And there we go. Yep. So that's a pretty good car you get as reward. It is a pretty good car that you get as reward. And we got the 60 points that we craved, so... there it is. I might sell one, but I don't think the price is going to be great. Because obviously a lot of people get it now as reward, so price is probably going down. Hey, an achievement. That's fun. So hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching, and until next time, farewell.